In Tech Matters, new guidance for securing contracted IT. The Office of Management Budget says the threats facing federal information systems have dramatically increased, and it's time to strengthen cyber protections. They want contractors to step up info sharing and agencies to improve the contracts they write. For more, I'm joined by Steve Charles, co-founder and executive vice president of immixGroup. Steve, this is a pretty heady document. It's based on FSMA, NIST publications, and executive orders. Does OMB simply want to pull a bunch of security rules together into one easy-to-follow handbook?
OMB is seeking to put together a series of security controls, much like federal business systems need to adhere to. But in this case, for contractor systems that are handling government information. We're talking about unclassified information, but information nonetheless that needs to be controlled. And so OMB, NIST, the entire federal government is saying to contractors and contracting officers, put contracts in place that require contractors to make sure their systems meet the security controls and also report whenever there's a breach.
Now, cyber incident reporting is a key part of this proposal. Here's an excerpt. Agency contracts often lack language governing when and how contractors are required to report information security incidents when they occur, and when and how contractors should provide notification of breaches to affected individuals and third parties. Now, this sounds a lot like CISA, the Cybersecurity Information Sharing Act. Privacy concerns derailed that bill in the Senate this month. Will contractors view new language on cyber incident reporting as a violation of their privacy?
Oh, that's an interesting question. You know, we're talking about sharing threat data for the benefit of other systems. Federal contractors working for federal government and interfacing with federal government systems are the first line of defense, and as the government sees it, potentially the first line for a breach. And so sharing information about a breach or indicators that there might be a breach occurring would be step number one.
Steve, OMB will review compliance during FedStat and CyberStat sessions. What are those?
So CyberStat, FedStat, Portfolio Stat, TechStat, these are OMB sessions where OMB conducts meetings with the C-level folks at each of the agencies around their particular agenda items, their particular concerns. So TechStat was the first one, and that was reviewing all the IT programs in terms of whether they're on time and on budget. Portfolio Stat looks at all of the different systems from a perspective of redundancy. CyberStat is looking at all the systems from the perspective of cybersecurity, and all of this information is maintained in the OMB's MAX portal.
Now, they also want agencies to write contracts differently. Here's a passage about security assessments. The agency should specify that the contractor will afford the agency access to the contractor's facilities, installations, operations, documentation, databases, IT systems, devices, and personnel used in performance of the contract regardless of location. Now, does this happen today, or is OMB asking for something new?
So this happens today to a certain extent in classified systems where contractors are running classified systems. Extending this to the unclassified world is something new. My recommendation to anyone is to make sure that if you are running such systems and your systems interface with such systems, that you create clear lines of demarcation so that it's very clear what is government information versus what is your normal business system.
Now, let's summarize this, Steve. Overall, will industry embrace this proposed guidance, or will it be met with a lot of opposition?
So we're talking about over 100 security controls that contractors are going to have to implement into their systems. Such things take time and money. Industry is going to have to understand what all of these mean for their particular situations and comment accordingly so that everyone understands what's really involved and how much time and resources it's going to actually take.
What kind of paperwork are we talking about? You brought an example of before and now, right?
Right. So the government's own IT systems need to conform to FSMA. to the risk management model and the security controls. And this is a hard copy of the security controls that federal government business systems need to comply with. Lest contractors think that this is all out of control, we're talking about a much smaller document.
All right, good.
Hundreds of controls less. So I really think it's pretty well thought out, but the devil's in the details, and everybody needs to take a look at this and understand exactly what it means for their systems and comment accordingly.
I should mention we've only touched the surface of this proposed guidance. Viewers can find more details at policy.cio.gov. OMB will accept comments until September 10th. Stephen Charles of immixGroup, thanks for being with us.
And thank you.